Hello. So, first of all, different camera again, or again. Fixed my old iPhone, or old. It's not even that old, 1 year. But it still drains the battery, so if anyone has a clue, it's just sort of happened and then it kept draining forever. Replace battery, this is the second battery, but it's all the same. It just drains. If you don't use it, it will drain completely till the battery is dead. So, looks to me some sort of short or whatever somewhere. So not software related, but more hardware. Replace the charging part of the phone and the battery, but it looks like it has no result. Well, at least it works again with a charger, or for a few hours it works. So it's not gonna be my phone, but maybe I can use it as a camera. It's better than the Samsung. But hell yeah. So if anybody knows, please leave a comment if you do. I'd like to have it working properly. But okay, so what were we doing here? First of all, I gotta close the door. So, well, this is a dial indicator, as you probably know. And I'm gonna measure the distance from the foil to the magnets, because I made the Magnepan version with the Magnepan metal, and it looks like it's a little bit flimsier than the perforated sheet. And now if I want to compare them in efficiency, the distance from the coil to the magnet should be the same, otherwise the results will be not valid, does not compute. So let's see what the distance is, and I thought of this setup should do it. So I kind of zero on top of this piece, and then we're gonna see how far it drops on the foil, on the piece here where it can move. The dial indicator is working backwards, so it does sometimes have to calculate a little bit what it was. So let's re-zero it again, and then just slide it over to the other piece. Okay, let's go. Plop. So that's one millimeter, but still can push it in a little bit. So let's say, okay. It stops at 60, but it's counting backwards, so it's 1.4 actually. So this is a, yeah, 1.4. Let's write it down somewhere. Like somewhere here. Oh, here's my pen. Some other thing to notice is the material to make these panels. So some nice interference from from the light. Sorry about that. The sun is gone, and now I apparently don't have enough light anymore, which is a shame. And there's this wobbly image. I'm not sure what it is. It might be the fridge or something. I don't know. Or is it this? Really? That's weird. Thought it was running at 30 frame. Oh well. Okay. We'll look it up. So. Yeah. Oh yeah. Another thing is good to see, or good to see. It's nice to notice, at least when you're building such a thing. Is that it looks all okay, but you can see how much. I'll put it back on this here. Should be around 0 again. Yeah, sort of, almost. But you can see that it kind of bended all over the place. If I push this, the sides. I see that's quite a bit. And this is also the reason why the distance changed from coil to magnet. Since this panel, for instance, had a, well, it should be a spacing from 1 millimeter from the coil to the magnet. Now I know I'm measuring on top of the coil, so I have to take into account the thickness of the coil, which is 0.17. So we measure 1.4. Subtract that, and then we end up with 1.23. Oh, sorry, 23. So it's still 0.23 millimeters. The spacing is 2.3 millimeters too big, which is weird, but it's all because the metal and the panel bends under the tension of the foil. You can see. So, but because of the Magneplanar has flimsier metal, I believe, or at least it feels so, I'm gonna look what the difference is there. Because before I measure the efficiency, they should be as close as possible. And it didn't feel like it, so might want to do that one as well. So I'm gonna remove this, swap the panel out. Still in frame? Yeah. Oh, exactly at the same spot. So, no, it's almost 0 as well. That's nice. Tiny bit of tweaking. It is all a bit flimsy. Everything is a little bit wobbly, but and just let's move it towards the moving part. So that's 1 millimeter, and then what we have left in here. Ooh, and that's quite a bit. So it states 30, but as you can see, we were at 0 on it, and it counts backwards. So that's actually 1.75. Which is far more than 1.4. So this one bended up more than the other one, which result in the coil being further away from the magnets, which will result in less efficiency. So if I'm gonna test it, it's not completely fair. It's not a big, huge amount, but still, it's something. So yeah, I may have to make up for 0.35 millimeters to compare them correctly. And one thing I can do is just sturdy up the panels. So I might sturdy up this one and see if I can get close to the previous one, and then it should be okay enough to test them one versus the other. At least if the resistance is the same, which it is. This one is 0.2 ohms lower resistance than the other one, but that actually really, I cannot measure that. Not in a room with the equipment I got, so it doesn't really matter. And yeah, overall, I mean, I'm not gonna buy a certain kind of metal, for instance, if it brings me a 0.2 dB or something extra. It's not useful at all. So, but that's the way I measured it, and conclusion is essentially it has to be way more sturdy, because I can think of a nice spacing of 1 millimeter, but it ends up in being 1.4 almost, or even 1.7, which is gonna make a difference in efficiency. So, and also, if this happens, it also means that it will drop resonance a little bit down. So it's not very accurate way of building like this. When you make it push-pull, then the forces work against each other, so might be better, but I'm not gonna make all these test panels and push-pull. It's too much work, and I don't need it to be push-pull to just test these things. So That's it, let's test it in just with a sweep. Yeah, I thought, well, while I'm at it, and now it doesn't wobble the image. That's weird. The same light is on, but it must be fridge then, I guess. I thought, well, I'd give my own panel a try as well, because yeah, I did 2 times the one with Magnepan magnets. But let's see what it does. This one does. And let me see, is it? Yeah, okay, so I'll zero it. 0, and then we move it forward. That's 1. And it's not, actually not even 1. This is tricky, because if I push real hard I bend the metal, which is not very accurate, of course. I'll put something underneath it instead. Now it's wobbly, that's not nice. Let's see what's happening here. Why is it so wobbly? Is there something underneath? Yeah, there is some debris. Okay, let's do it again. Let's zero it. Okay. Now move it backwards onto the moving part. It's actually less. Actually less than the other panels. Let's check it again. So it's 0 here. Sort of, 0, almost there. 0, and then we move it towards the moving part. Push it down a little bit. Yeah, so this one is actually 1 millimeter of spacing. And I guess this is also the panel with the lowest tension then. Because the more tension, the more it will bend and the more it will be off. So own panel is 1 millimeter spacing, as it should be. Okay, interesting. This could be because of the wood is thicker, I don't know, but that's what it is. So actually it's funny, because in one of the measurements the Magnepan version kind of was more efficient than my own magnets by 2.5 dB, but it actually had a bigger spacing as well. So that's good for Magnepan, not so much for me. At least it confirms, or at least it will, in the end it results in that the Magnepan version has 3 dB more efficiency with their magnets. But of course it's still not a fair comparison, because the magnets are different size, but maybe I'll make the same size magnets to compare them directly. But first let's see what the different metals do in the measurements, if it makes any difference, perforated metal or the metal Magnepan uses. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna take a measurement of the panel with the steel from Magnepan. The rest of the setup didn't change. I left everything the way it was. I did add this piece of plastic on top of the panel, and it's there to compensate the 0.35 millimeters distance compared to the other panel. So I straighten out the metal so it will be exactly the same as the other panel with perforated sheet and Magnepan magnets, just to see what the sort of metal does, or the perforation does. So let's see. We can see the red line here is the other panel with Magnepan magnets, but on a perforated sheet instead of the metal Magnepan uses. So let's see. Digital clipping, yeah. Okay, so it clips at the peak here, but I don't really care. Well, you can see right off the bat, it's not a major difference at all. No. They're actually kind of, let's smooth it out a bit. Say 9, for instance. Oh, that's hard. Difficult. Now you wonder how much. Okay, 1/4. So now they're both smoothed the same amount. And you can actually see it doesn't really matter much. No. So difference in the metal they used with all the tiny holes compared to just perforated sheet, it's actually non-existent. Then maybe it's a aesthetic reason, or it's easier to line up the magnets because they have, like, the strips are as wide as the magnet. I don't know, but I don't see any difference, except for reaching a little bit higher, the peak. But that's not weird. I mean, also the resonance is a little bit higher, not by much. So this is 175 and the other one is 185 or something. So yeah, no major things. Yeah, this is a little bit different, but it's not like major insane different. Maybe in the distortion department, although no, actually isn't. This is some weird artifact here, this peak. Not sure what it is, but they're pretty much not exactly at the same spot, but they both have this artifact. If I look at distortion only, there might be resonating something, I'm not sure. But I think the perforated sheet might be even looking better. No, doesn't matter much. So okay, so in terms of efficiency, the kind of metal you use, it doesn't really matter. So no need to go to some factory to ask for this kind of metal because you want to make a planar. Not needed. Okay, good to know. So I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna strip the rest of the Magnepan for their metal, that's for sure. Maybe their magnets, because it looks like they are a little bit more efficient than mine. Oh yeah, also noted in the previous piece where we measured the distance that probably since the distance of my own panel is exactly 1 millimeter, I said the tension was probably the lowest, because if the tension is low, the panel won't bend as much. So yeah, as you can see, it is the lowest. It's a resonance of 155 compared to the 185. And this is smoothed quite hard, so it looks perfectly, but it isn't, of course. 8, 9. Ah, come on. Not sure what the laptop is doing at the moment, but okay. So this is the panel with my own magnets versus the Magnepan panel with their pieces of steel and their magnets. As you can see, the Magnepan version is just a little bit more efficient, around 3 dB or something. But yeah, that's about it. Doesn't reach as high. That's because of the width of the magnet. So the next proper thing to do would actually be cutting my magnets to the size exactly the same as the Magnepan is, and see what we get in terms of efficiency. My magnets are thicker, so they should be more efficient, but I think they're a lower grade, so probably, yeah, my instinct says the Magnepan still wins, unfortunately for me. But hell, I think 2.5 dB is not a major issue. It's too bad, that's for sure, but it's not gonna make or break it, I think.